entering the Mayo experience.
That Mayo experience. That Mayo experience. That Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to another edition of the Dog or Pass podcast. This for UFC 235. I'm here. My main man Chad is right here behind the scenes. Cody Saftic. There's a little bit of snow on the ground today. Some would call it a blizzard. But Cody is has an aversion to the snow. And it's kind of a weird thing coming from a Canadian. Cody not in studio today. This is getting a little weird. Me and him not able to be in the same studio. It changes the dynamic a little bit. Hopefully we're going to get a little bit better with this. I'm not a natural host, guys. I'm not used to talking into a camera all alone in front of it. But I'm willing to try. How are you doing, Cody?
Yeah, I hear you, man. So this has actually been the 4th snow day this year that I've gotten, which is the first time in the history of my entire existence that I've gotten more than, I believe, 2 snow days. So yeah, 4. And I don't know, it's just crazy. I know what you're saying. You're physically in Toronto. I moved outside of the city just fairly recently. And now that I'm on the outskirts, it gets pounded. So if you are from Ontario or Canadian, like Halton, Peel, York, all canceled. Toronto, only area open. So I can see how Paul's looking at a little bit of snow, but it's snowmageddon as far as I'm concerned out here. So yeah, just trying to survive, Paul. But
just trying to survive, he says. You are the softest Canadian that I know. For the record, our main man Chad goes on the same train as Cody to get into the city. So
well, then you ask Chad right
Chad
now.
Chad can do
Chad
it.
Gets off the train after 10 minutes. I got to ride the thing for an hour.
It's true. Agree to disagree.
So I'm getting crushed.
So me and Chad are here. Cody is in the comfort of his own
Chad
home.
and I, Paul.
Chad and I are here as we're supposed to be. Cody, on the other hand, it was a little too cold for him today. So hopefully we can give you guys some hot picks to move on to that. But to wrap it up from last week, we had our UFC draw, or whatever. I don't even remember what it was, to be perfectly honest. But I got someone named Stardate. Apparently, you won. I'm just looking at a sheet that says UFC Stardate. So should be 20 DK dollars in your account. With our little giveaway challenge, with the retirement of George Rush St. Pierre, Director Chad stepping in through the clutch again here for us. He said, why don't people, 1, give the episode a like. None of this is possible without that. 2, leave your DK handle. And 3, tell us what your favorite George St. Pierre moment of all time is. If you do that, you're in a draw, and you could win like our main man or woman, no idea, very, very gender neutral type of name, Stardate, did last week. And before we get into any of the fights here, we gotta say odds and lines are subject to change. See website for actual odds. If you or anybody you know has a gambling problem, and Lord knows the last few weeks with my bad picks, I kind of have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. So we have Jon Jones taking on Anthony Lionheart Smith. Jon Jones with what seems like the easiest fight that he's had for God knows how long. Is 9,600 on DraftKings, minus 800 favorite. Anthony Lionheart Smith is 6,600 and plus 550. Really, how do you really break down this one? The only way that you can really look at it is Anthony Smith has a puncher's shot, I guess, at this point. Jon Jones has always had pretty good durability. Jon Jones is better than Anthony Lionheart Smith at literally everything. Jon Jones has a longer reach. You can just catalog every single possible advantage that you could have in a mixed martial artists contest, and Jon Jones has it. So, Jon Jones making up for lost time here, taking another fight really quickly based on how he has usually taken fights in the past. He usually fights 2-3 times a year. He's obviously trying to make up for lost time here. They give him kind of a little softball here. He's going to knock it out of the park. Minus 800. It is what it is. I frankly don't think it's nearly high enough yet. And on DraftKings, at least in cash games, people are just going to be locking him in, right?
Yeah, I got to assume so. As you mentioned, probably one of the easier fights he's had, at least on paper. I mean, with Jon Jones, you also got to realize if he's at his absolute worst, he's still probably the best in the world. So even if he's having a bad fight, he should still get it done. The one thing that you got to be weary on is you're paying such a big price tag. Both money line's not as bad as it could be. You're 100% right there. But as far as DraftKings go, like, he's a very expensive player. So you want him to go out there and absolutely just thrash Anthony Smith. And he should absolutely go and thrash Anthony Smith. But, you know, it wasn't all that long ago. You will probably remember this more than anybody. You had a tasty little parlay, and it was Jones inside the distance over OSP. And everybody was talking about what round will Jones take OSP out. But he goes out there. It was a layoff performance, and he just kind of just goes through the rhythm. He gets some takedowns. His ground and pounds, you know, nothing ferocious. He kind of just allows OSP to get rounds in, and then the fight ends. And he didn't score a tremendous amount in that performance. Now you see what he did to Alexander Gustafsson in his last fight. It doesn't look like this is the guy that's coming in here off. When he fought OSP, he was powerlifting Jones. I mean, he was so thick, and he had spent a lot of time doing just a lot of heavy lifting and putting muscle on his body. So you can make all the excuses in the world for him. The thing with Jon Jones is, for as good as he is, and again, best ever, you know, as long as you're willing to look up past the steroid issue. But the thing is that he could theoretically finish Anthony Smith at any point, but he's not usually one of these quick starters. He's not somebody that goes out there and gets a first or second round finish. Long gone are the days that he's gone out there and blown out Shogun within a round. Now you kind of see him just pick away at guys and break them down. You know, he's not a big power puncher per se, good volume puncher, guy that has power, but generally breaks you down between rounds 3, 4, and 5 and tries to get the finish there. His submission game, a good submission game. But again, it's going to take a little bit longer to set this stuff up. Now you talk about a puncher's chance. This is MMA. Literally anybody. He could be fighting CM Punk. On a theoretical level, there would be a puncher's chance. But yeah, how many guys has he fought before that had puncher's chances? You know, guys like Glover Teixeira had a puncher's chance. Even, and I know Jones never fought him, but this reminds me a lot of like a Volkan Oezdemir. Volkan Oezdemir has a couple hot performances. We're going to talk about Johnny Walker later. It's the same thing. You blast a couple guys really quick. Holy shit, this guy's got power. Wait until you feel this power. Jones has been hit before. He honestly has. Guy's chin checks out. So, yeah, is there a chance that Anthony Smith hits him and knocks him out? Again, this is MMA, but that would be the Matt Serra victory over Georges St-Pierre at 205 pounds. Like, it would be one of the greatest upsets in the history of this entire sport. So that's what you're getting yourself into. And at 8-1, it doesn't really look that way. Like, not a bad money line, but I think a lot of people are going to be looking at how does Jones finish this fight, and that's where you might lose money because I'm not entirely sure that he just doesn't go out and does what he does. Now, that being said, Anthony Smith, I don't think has 5-round cardio, and I think he realizes the situation he's in. It's kill or be killed. He should go guns to blazing and try to finish Jones as quick as possible or get finished in the process. If that's the outlook that he's going to go with, Jones probably finishes him in rounds 2 or 3. It should be fun while it lasts, but yeah, I think the obvious pick here is Jon Jones.
And then the question becomes, especially in GPPs and stuff, is at 9,600, does he pay it off? Like, it's such a hard game to play sometimes. I think he probably gets at least upwards of 100. That doesn't mean that he ends up on an optimal lineup, because at 9,600, that means you're digging to the bottom of the barrel to fill out other people. But, you know, the other people in that range, when you have Polyana VIANA, who is 92, and Macy CHAISSON, who's 94, it's just like, why don't you just pay up for Jon Jones, who's an 8-1 favorite to get the job done, and is noted by some people, not me, because Khabib's the GOAT, but noted as being the GOAT by a lot of people in the MMA space. So it's really hard to not pick Jones, and not to say, like, if you're going to pay up all that way, unless it's a GPP and you're trying to get a little bit different, how do you not play him? Like, it is what it is.
The last thing I want to throw there on there as well is, like, you're looking at the same fighters in that same price range, like you mentioned. Well, you got Macy CHAISSON, has 3 professional fights. That's her career. 3 professional fights. Polyana VIANA is coming off a thorough beating at the hands of JJ Aldrich. And you got Jon Jones, who is the greatest of all time. Like one guy, there's never a lock in the sport. There is never a lock, but no. You get the feeling that he's not fighting the number 2 guy in the world. He's not fighting the number 3 guy in the world. He's not fighting the number 4 guy in the world. He's in boxing. This would be a tune-up fight. Now, he just smoked Alexander Gustafsson, who's a more credible opponent than Anthony Smith in what would have been a tune-up fight. So here you should be getting a better version of him. Yeah, again, it would be hard to see a world that exists in which he loses. But to Anthony Smith's credit, like you said, Jones has got the advantage everywhere. The only one thing Jones doesn't have, he got the experience advantage because of big fights, but the pure fight experience. Anthony Smith has been in there. He's crafty. He'll try to knock Jones out, but I mean, who doesn't? This is a fight game, and against John Jones, hanging out at range, bad idea. Getting out there and just letting your hands fly and hoping the best happens, at least there's a small possibility. And Anthony Smith thrives in that chaotic space. So, yeah, I think he gets smoked. I wouldn't stack this. I wouldn't take a punt on Anthony Smith as far as trying to win a big GPP and paying absolutely nothing. I would avoid it. But the 9,600 on Jones, yeah, he's probably going to score 100 points at least, and therefore it would be worth it. But as you mentioned, if you're now sacrificing the lower end of your roster to afford Jones, you might not win the big GPP, even though you have a big score like JJ.
100%. Let's move on to the welterweight division. Welterweight title is on the line when Tyron Woodley takes on Kamaru or Marty Usman. Tyron Woodley is 8,700 minus 165 favorite. Marty is 7,500 and plus 145. What's your take here, Cody?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Usman. I mean, it's no surprise that I've tried to fade Tyron Woodley a couple times and been, unsuccessful. But this seems like the first time in a long time that you're getting the exact parts of a fighter that you would need if you were going to fight Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley's got a big right hand. He's got a great grappling game, or his wrestling, As far as grappling, yeah, just got his BJJ black belt, submitted Darren Till. If he's on top of you, I mean, he doesn't do a whole lot. It's not like he's a big ground and pound guy, but like he's just so heavy, good top control. Again, the wrestling is right hand. He's probably got 3 good tools here, and I don't know that that's going to be enough. I mean, the narrative always with Tyron Woodley, especially coming from me, is that this is a guy that's getting older. He doesn't like to exert himself. He's got the big power, but it's almost like that big power has bailed him out. The last couple of years, it's bailed him out in impromptu times. Him versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson the first time around. Yeah, I mean, it's a draw at the end of the day, and he has a 10-8 round out of it. I think that he looks good for little pockets of time, but for the most time, he's just trying to kill the clock off. The second fight is the definition of that. He doesn't want to exert himself. He just kills the clock off. The Damian Maia fight, he doesn't want to take Damian Maia down, very understandably, but it's just stuff takedowns and back away, stuff down takedowns. It's self-preservation. He knows doesn't want to get hurt against these guys, so he's going to go out there and take the path of least resistance. Now with Darren Till, it's a bit of a curveball. It's like, hey man, this is an exciting performance, a performance where he kind of showed a little bit of everything. He showed the big power, he showed his ground game, he showed his submissions. It's kind of like a great performance, but against Darren Till was just the perfect opportunity, the perfect opponent to throw him in there with. Here's a guy that is very much kind of untested. We didn't know anything about his grappling game. He threw no strikes. Nobody knows what his game plan was. And he's not even the best. He's not even the second best welterweight in the world. He's the second best welterweight in the UK. Like, he's not even ranked a high above Leon Edwards as far as I'm concerned. And he's the guy getting the fight. So I know I'm going to come off as a Tyron Woodley hater. And this is a guy that I'm a guy that also comes off as a Jose Aldo hater. So like, you've got to give respect where it's due. And these guys are great champions and have done a lot. But again, at some point, you got to pass that torch. And Usman is the younger version of Woodley minus the power. But he's got the cardio to push the pace. He's got just as good of wrestling. And I honestly feel like you look at that Rafael dos Anjos performance, you see a Usman has no killer instinct in the slightest bit. Like, all of his fights are just decision. But now you're starting to see him evolve. He's kind of coming into his own like Colby Covington. Covington was kind of a decision grinder as well, but then he starts to let his hands go. He's got, seemingly infinite cardio, so he breaks guys down with the wrestling and then just picks them apart. Both of them fought Rafael dos Anjos. They picked him apart. They just outlasted him. I thought Covington would be a great matchup for Tyron Woodley. I would have really liked to see that fight. If I don't get to see that fight, I get to see Usman. And again, I think Usman is very capable of doing the exact same things Covington would have done, and that's push the pace. You're not likely to get taken down, but you just got to keep making this guy work and make him work and make him work and tire him out, and then maybe get him on the ground, or maybe just pick him apart, or maybe just make him look old. And I think somebody is capable of doing that. And I think there's maybe 2 guys that are able to do that, Usman and Covington. And we're getting Usman here, who in a lot of people's opinions is better than Covington. So I'm gonna go with Usman. I think the price is awesome on him. First of all, he's only $7,500 on DraftKings. Like, if he even just makes it to 5 rounds, he could lose and still get a good amount of points. But I truthfully do believe he goes out there and gets the win. And then for that price, it would be right on. As far as him being the underdog, nearly to the tune of 2-1 at some books. Yeah, again, I think it's a good it's a good number. I think Marty from Nebraska, as long as he doesn't show up at 30%, Paul. I know that joke's been beaten to an absolute fucking pulp, but show up at like 50, 60, 70%, and we should be better than 50. Hopefully better than 50, but he should be getting the win here. So I'm going to take the dog here and go with Marty from Nebraska, Kamaru Usman.
I can see where you're coming from. Like the pace and the pace and tempo that he's gonna try to fight at is huge, and as long as he gets out of the first couple rounds, like that's when Woodley's major power has really kind of presented itself most of the time. The one thing that the big question mark that we don't really have an answer for is how is Usman's chin? Nobody's really cracked him. Now that's not his fault. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go out there, not get hit. And he generally goes out there and doesn't really get hit. So there are a lot of questions here. What if Woodley, you know, this is probably going to be a stand-up war. Like, I don't really think either guy has much of a wrestling advantage. Usman is pretty good at holding guys against the cage. It's going to be very interesting when the two guys get in together. I think we just kind of see a kickboxing match. Usman may be the longer striker. Woodley has the more power, but his volume is super low. So I can see where you're coming from. Like, if these guys get into a stand-up war, Usman stays a little bit more busy, kind of pushes him around. It's going to be very, very interesting. I don't hate the dog play. I don't think I would be laying any -165 chalk on Woodley, because I agree with you. We've been talking about for a long time that Covington and Usman are the future of this division, and we'll see if they're ready to take down Tyron Woodley here. But yeah. Let's move on. We've got Tyron Woodley's buddy, Mr. Ben Funky Askren, taking on Robbie Lawler. And Askren is 9,000 on DraftKings, -300 favorite. Robbie Lawler 7,200 and +250. A lot of people may be like, oh, well, you know, Ben Askren, you know, he's borderline retired. He's had a lot of, they would go, oh, he's had a lot of time off. These guys only actually fought like a month apart. November 2017 for Askren, December 2017, so an extra month layoff for Askren, coming from one championship. But let's face it, he's over in one championship. He's fighting Shinya Aoki, who has fought at as low as 145 pounds. Like, he's not getting world-class opponents here. Robbie Lawler a few years ago, what was he really touted for? An insanely good takedown defense and power and grit. I feel as though in the RDA fight, we kind of saw the old legend kind of withering away a little bit. He was getting held up against the cage. He's slowed down. His cardio doesn't seem to be the same pace. RDA kind of put it to him for 5 rounds, and it wasn't even close. If Askren can get a hold of Robbie Lawler, I see lots of takedowns. I see a dominant performance, and I just don't think Robbie's going to be able to stop the onslaught. Ben Askren at 9,000 is probably my favorite play on the board, because we know what he's going to do. He's going to try to take Robbie Lawler down, and he's going to do it at will, over and over and over. He does not want to exchange hands with Robbie Lawler whatsoever. Those are the kinds of people I want on my DraftKings lineup. So at 9,000, Ben Askren, unless he gets knocked out, like, how does he not return value?
Well, yeah, well, I think in a lot of people's cases, they're buying into the legend of Ben Askren. I mean, you know Ben Askren. I know Ben Askren. There's probably a lot of people watching this podcast right now who know Ben Askren, but there's a lot of people, they don't have a fucking clue. So they're going off the legend of Ben Askren. Yo, this guy, oh, he was yelling USA while riding Andre Korshkov's back. Oh, he smoked Lima. Oh, this guy's undefeated. It's like, man, a lot of that's a long-ass time ago. And I think you pretty much said it the best. Like, who's he been fighting recently? Shinya Aoki? Like, oh my God. You look at his record and it's like, hey, he's in 18 pro fights, which is a hell of a record, don't get me wrong. But in his 18 pro fights, he fought Ryan Thomas, who had a very brief UFC career. He fought Lyman Good, who is in the midst of what is probably going to be a very brief UFC career. He fought Jay Huron, who kind of had a brief UFC career. Those are the only UFC vets this guy's ever fought. The Jay Huron fight came in 2011, 8 years ago, and it was a split decision victory for Ben Askren. After that, his two biggest career wins are Andrei Korshkov and Douglas Lima. No doubt about that. Those fights happened in 2012 and 2013, respectively. Then his fights after that. He's fought the likes of Karl Amasu and Bakhtiar Abbasov, Nobutatsu Suzuki, Nikolai Lexikin, who's a little bit underrated. He's actually not too bad. But again, you know, not a big show veteran by no stretch of the imagination. Ajlan Tani, terrible. Kadistan, 2 fights ago. No ground game in the slightest bit whatsoever. Shinya Aoki, great ground game, but literally half your size. So the problem is here, Paul, is that he's fighting absolutely nobody. And he's looking okay doing it. Back in the day, everybody criticized this guy for how boring he was. Dana White says, I'll never sign this guy. He's so boring. But then ONE FC signs him, and they give him the lowest level of opponent that they can possibly find. And he finishes these guys because they have never even been to a wrestling class before. He takes them down, he smashes them. They're easy wins. Now he's got a couple finishes on his record. All of a sudden, this guy's a world beater. He's never tested himself at the highest level. And Robbie Lawler is the definition of testing myself at the highest level. He's fought the who's. He's been at the highest level. So listen, I think Ben Askren is just going to be on his ass with the takedowns and push and push and push. But like, this is not a great spot for him. It's not a great spot. And then he's taking on a guy in Robbie Lawler who people are just writing off as what, shop porn because of his last fight with RDA. Let me tell you something. He looked fucking terrible in that fight. But he blows his knee out in like the second round. The first round, he didn't look all that bad, truth be told. Then he hurts his knee. And you can tell as soon as he hurts his knee, he stops moving. He stops moving. He's thinking about his knee. He's just sitting duck. RDA picks him apart. He takes a little bit of time off after that, but he's healed himself up. He comes out here, like you mentioned, back in the day, he had good takedown defense. He stuffs a couple takedowns from Ben Askren. You know how bad Ben Askren's striking is? Like, what if he's forced to strike with Robbie Lawler? What if he takes Robbie down, but he goes back to old Ben Askren, where he just holds him down, doesn't finish Robbie? Round 2 is going to have to start, and Robbie's back standing, and he's going to throw those hands. Last thing here is that Ben Askren's pretty much just run rickshaw through every opponent he's ever had, outside of, I guess, Jay Huron, which was a split decision. But the biggest thing here is that he fought Luis Sapo Santos in ONE FC. Now, that fight, I had tried looking at it again last night. I have it on my work computer. I worked the fight live, so I remember it very distinctively. But it's hard to find like the full fight online. But he goes out there against Santos. He shoots a single leg right off the start. Santos just shrucks this guy off like nothing. Askren follows up, shoots another takedown. Sapo shrucked it like nothing. Santos lands a couple decent shots. Ben Askren gets really desperate and shoots a takedown. And eye poked Santos really bad. Santos can't continue. Fight to no contest. They were supposed to rematch. They never did rematch. Life goes on. Santos had just the slightest little glimpse of what could go wrong with Ben Askren if he doesn't get the takedown. And that's a big, strong, durable, brick wall guy, which Robbie Lawler kind of is, should be able to stuff the takedowns and keep it standing. The other little wrinkle in the game here is that, like, Sapo Santos is like the only guy that's really ever had success against him. Santos trains full-time at American Top Team, which is where Robbie Lawler's at. So, again, I'm sure that's been part of the game plan and all those things. But, you know, I am a Ben Askren guy, and I do love the wrestling. And, you know, you and I talk about Khabib and talk about Suarez. And the fighters that are willing to just go in there and do what they do, and they happen to do that one thing, wrestling, better than everybody, that's the key to winning world championships. And as much as I think Ben Askren is overvalued, I think it's a high price tag. I think it's first fight in the UFC, long enough layoff, almost 2 years, hasn't fought a real opponent in quite some time. It's a dangerous ass spot. Yeah. But I think he'll do enough to get the takedowns and get a decision. And it might be a shit decision. It might be a squeak decision. And that's why I don't love the price on him. But yeah,
minus 300. Minus 300, it makes me nervous. Yeah, 9,000. This guy's getting unrelenting takedowns one after another. Hopefully, Robbie gets back up. Like, that's what you're kind of hoping for in general. Like, those are the guys that just can really break the slate. I think Askren, if he's getting those takedowns, could break this slate. Like, not minus 300. Yeah, there are some risk factors, I think. Completely. It is a massive step up, as we've been saying. So minus 300. Be careful adding Ben Askren to parlays, but you got to take some chances on the DraftKings slate. And I think at 9,000, that guy can I just don't see, if he wins, I don't see how he doesn't return value at 9,000. We got Weili Zhang taking on Tecia Torres. Weili Zhang, 8,300 and a -120 favorite. Tecia Torres is 7,900 and +110. Weili Zhang coming off of a submission victory over Jessica Aguilar in her last fight, and a win over Danielle Taylor before that. Tecia Torres coming off of 2 straight L's against 2 of the top 3 at 115 pounds in Joanna Jędrzejczyk last time out, and Jessica Andrade. Massive step up for Weili Zhang, who has looked very impressive, don't get me wrong, every step of the way, and especially in that last fight, like, we didn't really know about the ground game that she had. Impressive stuff, but are we biting off a little bit more than we can chew a little bit too early here, Cody?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, again, you look at this girl's record and you just get extremely excited. It's like, here's another, in this case, 18-1, 18-fight winning streak. Lost her pro debut and has been basically perfect since then. Again, you watch tape on her and, like, she's got all the things you're looking for. She's super aggressive. She's only 5'4", I think, with a 63-inch reach. So, I mean, she's not a lengthy fighter, but she's got like a Sonda kickboxing background. She's able to execute it pretty good. Tecia Torres, normally I would say, hey, this is too tough of a task. I mean, Tecia is one of these girls that has fought the best of the division, has given a good account of herself, has just a wealth of experience. She's also a pretty credible point-style kickboxer who has a cast iron chin on her. So Weili Zhang is very aggressive, likes to go out there, push that tempo, hurt her opponent. Tecia Torres is just very, 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 very difficult to put away. Tecia Torres has been so many decisions in her career that, like, you got to be able to go out there and fight hard for 3. The other thing, too, is I would give kind of Tecia Torres a wrestling advantage in this spot and think that, she probably goes out there, completes a couple of takedowns, she can steal this fight for sure. Experience factor, maybe not the worst play. The thing with Tecia Torres is her last 2 fights, and I think you illustrate a great point. I mean, it's probably the second and third best, women in the division. You're taking on Andrade and Jędrzejczyk, but she looked extremely flat. I mean, this is a girl that, very similar to John Dodson, kind of small for the division and really fast. She just bounces up in and out of the pocket, She's make lesser opponents just look stupid, missing, and she's able to do enough. Again, she's a decision fighter, but she's able to do enough to come out there, touch you up a little bit, score some points, fight goes to decision, and for the most part, she's comes out on the winning side of things. But again, similar to John Dodson, now that she's kind of getting a little bit older and that speed's not quite there anymore, that in and out of the pocket kind of strategy isn't as effective, you're seeing them take a lot more damage, and there really isn't no plan B. Again, she's taking on Andrade and Jędrzejczyk. There's no excuses there. But Weili Zhang's going to create a lot of problems in that she's probably, I want to say, well, she's certainly the more aggressive striker. She's going to go out there. She's going to throw combinations. Torres not really a combination puncher. 1-2, get out of the pocket. 1-2, out of the pocket. And we're starting to see now that even if you're backing out and you're landing, the more significant strikes, you could still lose the decision based on just forward motion and one opponent going for it. And I think like Weili Zhang, I don't know why, but I feel like the UFC has some investment in this girl. Here's somebody that we can go to China and market. She's got an awesome looking record. It's a thin division. You could fast track her, and she's got to go out there and get a credible victory. This is not exactly a really good looking spot for go out and get a nice, pretty looking victory, but they could know what they're doing. Now, I got to go back to last week when you had Lucy Pudilova. She's the hometown girl. You should definitely try to market this girl. And you give her Liz Carmouche. It's a fucking bad idea. Like, why would your hometown girl, the only girl on the card that's even from this area, why would you give her Liz Carmouche, who's just like entertainment cancer? Like, she just shuts down any fun excitingness of the fight and does what she's got to do to win. It's just bad matchmaking. Ticia's not like that. And this isn't a hometown fight. It's Las Vegas, not China. But I can see the UFC thinking, hey, we'd like to build this girl. Let's give her a tough opponent. But it's like styles make fights, and Ticia's not exactly the kind of girl that you go out and knock out in the first round and have everybody praising your name. It's going to be a tough fight. So for that reason, I think I'm leaning towards pass. I like this girl, Weili Zhang. I'm just not fully sold on her. With Tecia, I'm not fully sold on her either, but I know what I'm getting. I've seen it. I've seen her go through there. I've seen her compete at the highest level, and I know what I'm going to get out of her. So I'm feeling like a pass is probably in best play. And the 8,300 on Weili Zhang is not a bad price tag. Problem is, it's hard to score points on Tecia because
she'll be running away. Yeah, 100%. Tecia Torres not above trying to run away from the fights. Too much more. At least we know. Yeah, as you were saying, we know what we're getting from her. And the question I have is like, how is Weili Zhang's takedown defense? It's going to be a hot fire type of striking battle. Is Tecia Torres, you know, putting in all that time at the gym, able to maybe secure takedowns and stuff? I never like going into a fight and relying on somebody that's not usually part of their MO to go and secure takedowns and that type of thing. So yeah, it's a full out pass for me. It's very interesting to see like what level of fighter that we have in Weili Zhang. Gun to my head, I'm going to go with Tecia Torres. I'm going to go with experience here. Experience against the top level. I just have too many questions about Weili Zhang so far. She looked great against absolute scrubs, but Tecia Torres, lover or hater, she wouldn't have beaten them maybe as dominantly as Weili Zhang, but she probably would have cleanly beaten the likes of Jessica Aguilar and Danielle Taylor as well. Let's move on. We've got Cody Garbrandt taking on Pedro Munhoz. Cody Garbrandt is 8,500, a minus 165 favorite. Pedro Munhoz is 7,700 and plus 145. Who you got?
Yeah, I think Cody Garbrandt shot to bits. I know that's not the popular opinion. I think he's done. I think he could beat the lower end guys of the UFC. I think he would be like Michael McDonald. Like the UFC could cut him. Bellator would sign him up. They'd be super happy about it. He could probably lay some hot hands on a couple guys. But it's like the level's not there. Now, when I say shot, Michael McDonald's not exactly shot. He's got hand problems, and he just obviously was never as good as people really thought he was going to be. Cody Garbrandt at 27, I honestly am I don't want to say buying too much into this as much as I'm the one driving it. I think he's got concussion problems, and it's a sad thing, and you see it. You don't really see it super often with 27-year-olds, but you do see it with younger athletes in combat sports, and it's like this guy took a lot of beatings on the way up. So in Cody Garbrandt's case, he's from a rough area. I'm sure he fought growing up. That's probably not the biggest issue. Wrestles. Head clashes is a but that's not the issue. He's got a lot of amateur boxing experience. That's part of the issue. But there's stories going back like years ago that, he's got an amateur fight that you see him absolutely get fucking starched in. And then you start to think, okay, he's not just like out, he's like all the way out. Like this is a guy that doesn't just get hit and gets hurt. This is a guy that gets hit and gets completely severed from his consciousness. Now he signs up with Team Alpha Male. And a lot of the talked early on, if you remember, is that he got concussion problems. Like this guy's throwing up after practice. He's been flash knocked out a couple times in practice. The stories of guys hitting him. When him and TJ start going back and forth the first time around, a lot of that narrative was like, man, I dropped you. And TJ's kind of like, man, like you shouldn't be talking. But go back to Dominic Cruz's build up with Cody Garbrandt. Cruz is the one that calls him out. And he's like, man, everybody knows the stories. Everybody knows the stories from your childhood. Everybody knows the stories from when you were an amateur, when you were coming up. Like, this guy's getting knocked out. So he goes and takes that Cody Garbrandt fight. He takes the TJ Dillashaw fight first time around. And, he shows what he's got. The kid's got decent hands on him. Like, he comes from an amateur boxing pedigree. He's got good hands. He's got good power. What he did to Dominic Cruz, no man has ever done. He should be, rewarded for that. He got the title. It's a big moment. But he takes on TJ Dillashaw, and he gets starched out. He flash knocks him down, and he himself gets completely knocked out at the end of the first round. There was no need for that second fight. I was firmly against that second fight. Why is it that guys like Demetrius Johnson or Cyborg or Stipe Miocic, like, why do they not get immediate rematches, but Cody fucking Garbrandt gets an immediate rematch despite getting completely sideways?
Ali's their manager.
You're trying to sell a
gets
fight.
Everything these days. Everybody if you fight with Ali, you get preferential treatment. Like that's just what's happening right now. What reasons that is just I don't know. I don't have the answers for you, but it does seem like if Ali Abdelaziz is your manager right now, you're in a good spot. Let's just say that. Yeah, well, no, fair enough. And listen, he's a great manager, and he can really help your career. But one thing he can't actually help in the slightest bit, the ability to take a punch. I feel like that's what's kind of getting to Cody Garbrandt. Now, you got to think with Cody Garbrandt as well. Like this, I'm going full-on conspiracy mode, but it's getting to the fact that I'm going to fade the favorite here and go with the underdog. But, like, Cody Garbrandt is not a smart person in the slightest bit, right? I don't want to be the one that says it. He's a fucking dumbass. He's a jock. That's kind of how he is. He's a confidence-based guy. This guy's all confidence. He's got swag.
He comes into the room and he's one of the boys. Yeah, that's how he lives his life. You know, I was kind of making a reference off that Ultimate Fighter bit where he's like drinking with the boys. It's like, this guy is unbearable, but he's a confidence-based human being. The lead up to him versus Dominic Cruz is 2 peacocks. You got Cruz, who's an alpha male. I know he doesn't train an alpha male. He hates them. But deep down, the guy's an alpha male. And Cody Garbrandt is an alpha male. And they clash. And you see the guy's dumb as nails, but, you know, he's a good fighter. He's a crafty guy. He's here to do it. Him versus TJ, the first time around, he's all confidence. Again, he beat Cruz. A lot of it had to do with the fact that he truly believed he was going to beat Cruz. Fights TJ. He's confident. Oh, man, I dropped this guy in sparring. I'm going to knock him out again. The second time he fought TJ, he was not confident, and it showed. He looked terrible. He looked worse than the first fight, obviously, and the result was all the same. He gets knocked out. He shouldn't be here. So now you got to think about this guy building himself back up. Shouldn't the guy who's the former champion, like seeing how John Jones comes off a layoff and has to fight Gustafsson, or Kane comes off a layoff and has to fight Francis Ngannou, like, well, why shouldn't this guy fight Aljamain? Or why shouldn't this guy fight John Lineker? Why shouldn't this guy fight you know, even an up-and-comer like Corey Sandhagen? You know why? All those guys would crush him. I truly believe that. Marlon Moraes, you want to see Marlon Moraes get another minute knockout? That's what he would do to this man. Cody Garbrandt takes a guy that's not a power puncher. There's a lot of bantamweight power punchers, but he's going to take a guy that's not a power puncher, and Pedro Munhoz, just a submission guy. Hey, certainly on paper, Cody Garbrandt's a better wrestler than him. He's a former Ohio State champion at the high school level, not the collegiate level. And he's never been submitted. So, like, wow, what's Pedro Munhoz going to do? Pedro Munhoz has been working on his hands, man, a lot. He's aggressive because he's become one of these Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belts that's so good on the ground. He knows you don't want to take him down, so he'll rush you. And he's gotten good at that. And I think he's going to put the pressure on Cody Garbrandt, force him to make a mistake. He'll either catch him and knock him out, or force Cody to maybe do a responsive takedown and get choked out. This guy's got the nastiest guillotine choke in the division, and I honestly feel like he's probably better than Cody Garbrandt in 4 of the 5 major aspects of MMA. So could he get caught? Yeah, he could get caught. We've seen him get caught and hurt before. But this is a guy that is increasingly making less and less, fewer mistakes, getting better, rounding out his game. This is a great spot to fade a guy that, just because he's the former champion, chicks like him. I know my girlfriend does. There's on Cody Garbrandt. He's a tiniest bit of fan favorite, I guess. I'm not sure why he's a fan favorite, but people like him. He's got a good price here. I think he loses, and if he fights any of the top 5 or top 10 guys of the division, he would be the underdog. So if you're going to fade him, now's the time to fade him where you can get a good price on it, and that's what I'm going to go. So I'm going to go with the young Punisher, Pedro Munhoz, to get the job done, potentially by finish. And if that's the case, more likely by finish, the way I'm seeing it. And for that, I like the price, obviously, for DraftKings as well.
I am on board with a whole bunch of what you said about the decline and the issues that Garbrandt has and the things that we're going to see moving forward against a bantamweight division that's really on the rise with Moraes and Sandhagen and Lineker and all these other guys with some real power in those hands. I just don't think Pedro Munhoz has much to really hurt Cody Garbrandt with, to be perfectly honest. I just don't see him hurting him on the feet. Hopefully, maybe the intelligence factor could be an issue, but hopefully Garbrandt able to just maintain range, stay at distance, disengage. Don't let this guy grab your neck. Don't freaking go for a takedown. Like, obviously, that's just rule number 1 against Pedro Munhoz. And I think he can really chew up Pedro Munhoz on the feet. I know Pedro Munhoz has improved. I just don't think he's going to be returning anything that could cause the lights to go out or to get him wobbled or anything like that. It's MMA, obviously. These things can happen. I just think Garbrandt gets by this one, but I am on board with you that the day of reckoning, or I don't see the climb back to the title for Cody Garbrandt moving forward if he has to go through some of the other killers in this division. But my pick my pick will be Garbrandt over Munhoz. Yeah. I just don't like the stylistic game, or the game that Pedro Munhoz has to get it done.
Yeah, well, fair enough. I'm just honestly looking at the fact that with Cody, if you're just looking at if you just want to avoid that big power, Pedro's can do that, man. He can really do that. And I look at his 2 losses ago, his Jimmy Rivera fight, split, competitive. But his fight with Russell Doan, he's getting tagged up. Yeah. Unfazed, chokes this man out. Justin Scoggins, dude, he's getting tagged up. Unfazed, submits this man. Rob Font. Rob Font is a
None
very
of these guys
good striker.
have the wrestling background of Garbrandt, though.
Okay,
Russell
fair
Doan,
enough.
so like that option doesn't just present itself in the same way. Like getting tagged up by Russell Doan that's not a good spot to be in, because Cody Garbrandt's hands, we saw it on full display against Dominic Cruz. Like he put on an absolute clinic in that fight. Now that was against another opponent. That was against an opponent that didn't really have power. Dominic Cruz, real good tactician, doesn't exactly have the power to really do anything. We saw with TJ, who didn't necessarily have quote unquote like fight ending power. Usually he kind of had to rack it up. I just mean in the past, he didn't have the power to rack it up, but he was able to clip him and finish him. Like I think Dillashaw has a lot more power, a lot more to offer in that department. I just don't see Munoz having that spot to really capitalize. I think Garbrandt wins by decision. That's how I see this one playing out.
Okay, fair enough. Just my last wrap-up point on it was, you look at those fights in there 2-3 years ago. He's getting tagged. He's got a good chin. He comes back, gets a submission. So his chin, to me, checks out. I'm not worried about him going out there and getting knocked out early by Cody Garbrandt. I'm looking at specifically, Paul, the fact that I thought he got robbed against John Dodson, and that would put him on a 7-fight winning streak. But he lost to John Dodson, so he's on a 2-fight winning streak. The fight with Brett Johns. Brett Johns is a black belt in judo. Doesn't have the same wrestling. Don't get me wrong. Good wrestling. Judo black belt. Maybe he can't take Brett Johns down. So he eats the shit out of this man. He smokes him. He smokes the legs. He smokes the body. He drops him multiple times. He gets multiple 10-8 rounds. He absolutely kills this man. But hey, it's Brett Johns. Yeah, he's 15-1. But who is he? Let's give him Brian Caraway, a guy that is perennially overlooked, is extremely tough, a good out for everybody, and a guy that's durable. He knocks out Brian Caraway in the very first round with a body kick, follow-up punches. This is a guy that has been working on his power. And just similar to people saying Marlon Moraes, well, he's not really a power puncher, but he caught Aljamain and he caught Jimmy Rivera. But he's not really a power puncher. Oh, he caught a Sun Sao too. Oh, shit. Well, maybe he's just switched up his game. These guys are improving. I feel like Pedro Munoz is improving. He was just a grappler, but now he can strike. So if he can't take Cody Garbrandt down, I don't think it matters. I think he's going to strike with him, and I think he's going to catch him. And Garbrandt, if he goes out there super confident, like, I'm going to knock this guy out, then yeah, he's going to let his hands go. And if he lets his hands go and he gets super confident and he gets cocky and he starts moving his head, he's gonna make it a bad night for Pedro Munoz. But I don't think he's confident. I don't think he's like that anymore. I think, honestly, he just had a baby not that long ago. He's married now. He's not making the same money he was when he was at a world title level. He's got chin problems. It's like a perfect fucking storm for do not bet this man. And he's the favorite. So I think it's an easy fade for myself. But I understand where you're coming from. A Garbrandt decision. He's still a world-class talent. I'm playing the theory on this one and going against him.
We have Zabit Magomedsharipov taking on Jeremy Stephens. Zabit is an 8,900 or minus 255 favorite. Jeremy Stephens is 7,300 and plus 215. How do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, I mean, the move is get on Zabit while the money's still moving before it's all the way over. Because, I think he eats up Jeremy Stephens. I don't want to say no problem, but I think he has his way with them relatively easily. And, it was a good price. It opened up at like 210. I think now it's gone to 250. I would expect it to get to 3-1. Jeremy Stephens is Little Heathen. The guy's a legend. The guy's gone in there and done this damn thing almost as much as anybody. He's got the big power. He's durable. He's gritty. He is the true definition, to me, a fan favorite. How could you like fighting but not like Jeremy Stephens? But you want to talk openly about how the last fight was really hard on you with Aldo, and you thought about killing yourself, and now you basically need a sports psychologist, which kind of doubles on the size of the cult as well. Like it's not a good look. He's an aging athlete. He's a lot slower than Magomedsharipov, and this is what you got to realize: Jeremy Stephens at his best would pose Magomedsharipov problems. The only reason I say that is when you look at Sharipov versus Bochniak, it's like, okay, this is what a gritty, resilient guy can do. And Jeremy Stephens is twice the fighter that Kyle Bochniak is. So I would expect him to do the same thing. The thing is that he's really not. He's a much better fighter than Kyle Bochniak. But Bochniak's young. He's a kid. You don't care. He's going to go out there. He's going to put his hands at his side and scream, hit me, and walk forward because he's still a young fighter. Jeremy Stevens is the old savvy vet. He don't like that. He's got to get in there and he's got to make it happen. When he's picking up those big knockouts like Doo-Ho Choi and Josh Emmett, it really gives you that impression of like, damn, this guy's still got that big power. But like before Doo-Ho Choi got caught that first round, you really see how like speed advantage is the way to beat Jeremy Stevens. And Stevens is really short. He's got no reach on him. So a longer, rangier, faster athlete is going to eat this guy up. Hanato Moicano is all three of those things. He fought a terrible in terms of entertainment. It was a terrible fight, but it was a great game plan. It's like, this is the way to beat Jeremy Stevens. Magomed Sharipov is exactly that. He's longer, he's faster, he's rangier. He's going to stay at the outside, and he's going to be able to do whatever he wants to Jeremy Stevens. Stevens will have that big power. And again, this is MMA. He could theoretically catch ZABIT, but like, I don't see that happening. I think ZABIT's super tall. He rolls with the punches. Stevens is so short. He's really going to have to step in that pocket to make that happen. And I don't think he's going to be there. Him getting dropped by that body shot, again, this is more me thinking theory, just, watching tape. Him getting hit by that body shot, it makes you realize, like, he's really open to the body. He kind of keeps a high guard and marches forward. So Aldo obviously did his homework, and it's a nasty little body shot. Aldo has a lot more power than ZABIT. The ZABIT likes to spin.
Yeah, those spinning back kicks to the body. Like, he does that move like every single fight.
And I think that the first round, Stevens is going to be all up in there because his sports psychologist is like, "You're ready, Jeremy." And it's a false sense of confidence. He'll come out good in the first round. He'll get touched up a little bit. He'll come out good. Second round, he's going to be self-guessing himself. He'll get touched up a little bit more. The third round, I'd say it's all ZABIT. If it's 1-1 going into the third, live bet it for ZABIT. If it's 2-0 ZABIT, I think he's finish. And I don't know why I see it as he's going to nail this guy with something to the body, a spinning back kick to the body. He's gonna have Jeremy maybe going left to avoid the right hand, and then he's gonna line him up for it. But I think that Stevens' durability, although legendary, leaves Edwards blasting him with an elbow and Jose Aldo blasting him with a liver shot. Super flashy special techniques. They got a guy that's tough out. ZABIT's got that. You know me. I'm very much this kid's the future, and Jeremy Stevens is very much the past. So this has to be a torch passing moment, and I think ZABIT gets the win, and I think the price is right on him.
Is he going to score big, though? DraftKings, so 255, Cody's on board, 8,900. Dude, the guy's been an absolute monster on DraftKings. Whether or not he even goes to the wrestling, this guy's, his volume's just way up there. Pretty much all the strikes that he throws end up counting as significant strikes. If Jeremy Stevens is in his face, making him fight, we're going to see a lot of action. It's going to be a high-pace, high-energy type of affair. It's hard to, I would not suggest by any stretch of the imagination fading ZABIT Magomed Sharipov because he has already proven in all of his fights in the UFC. Like, this guy can put up points, and he puts them up in a hurry. And on pretty much every single slate that he's been on, if you don't have ZABIT on your team, you're not winning the big bucks.
Well, that's exactly it. You look at his debut with Mike Santiago, 114 points. Shaman Moraes has turned out to be a badass. 152 points against Shaman Moraes. Kyle Bochniak, like you said, this could be a very similar style to what Jeremy Stevens brings. 107 points. In his last fight against Davis, 122 points. He has not scored anything less than 100 points in his 4 UFC fights. He's fighting increasingly, I shouldn't say increasingly better level of competition, but like, This is a step up. This is definitely a step up. But I think this is the type of step up he's able to pass through and should score again above 100 points. So when I think about John Jones could get a quick little finish on Smith and potentially score up to his value and get 120 points. But ZABIT, he's cheaper. And,
save $700.
$700, and he has the exact same fucking ceiling, man. Nuts. So I would say that he should be a hot play. But because Stevens is such a fan favorite and is a good price, I could see people taking the chance on him and thinking, old boy's got one left in the tank. He can show that young kid, just like he did to Doo-Ho Choi, like different matchup, buddy. And I think Sharipov gets the win. But I could see people rostering up Stevens for that reason.
We have Johnny Walker taking on Misha Cirkunov. Johnny Walker, the real whiskey man of MMA, is 8,400 on DraftKings, minus 145. Favorite Misha is 7,800 and plus 125. Johnny Walker has taken me and broken me in the first 2 fights. I watched that tape against Luis Henrik Frankenstein, see him going to decision, see it being really, really competitive. And this guy has just went out there and starched people. And you know what? I still don't believe that he's all that good. But this is the type of stylistic matchup where Johnny Walker is supposed to be his best part of his game is supposed to be his jits on the ground. His ground game is supposed to be pretty solid. Misha, you don't want him getting top position against you. That's number one. But Johnny Walker, long reach. He's obviously shown flashy striking and all of this. He's been very, very solid overall, pretty much every step of the way here. He's made a fool out of me, Cody. Is he gonna? I like his chances of winning here, but like we're in a Nico Price situation here where just when I hop onto Johnny Walker, Misha's gonna come through. He's gonna take him down immediately and sub him. So I'm interested to hear what you have to say about this one because I can't get the real whiskey man of MMA right.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it. I think you talk about, is it a flash in the pan? Is it Mike Perry syndrome, where it's like, damn, this guy, is it Volkan Oezdemir? Volkan Oezdemir got title shot just on the basis of touching up a couple people and then folding over. One of those people happened to be Misha CIRKUNOV. So is there a chance that Johnny Walker does what Johnny Walker been doing and laying guys out? Yeah, but you can't overlook it still. You can't look at a couple quick knockouts and think this guy's suddenly a world beater all around, especially when you consider that the two guys he's defeated in the UFC are considered amongst the two biggest shitters in the UFC. He beat Khalil Roundtree, keep in mind, yes, Khalil Roundtree, and flat earther Justin Ledet. Hell of a couple big wins, Paul. Now, the thing is, the elbows over Khalil Roundtree, a good time. The spinning back is over Ledet. How could you not like this guy? His name is Johnny Walker.
No, guy's
he spent
pure
more time
entertainment.
breakdancing. Yeah, he spent more time breakdancing after his last fight than the fight itself actually lasted. He's 26. He's listed in some places as high as 6'5", 82-inch reach. He's an all-action fighter. But again, I don't think that can cause you to overlook at some of his shortcomings. First of all, like as much as he's got the big power, if you look at some of his regional fights, like his chin's not great. Like obviously the big notable one is he gets KO'd twice and within the same fight, within the same 30 seconds, he gets knocked out twice. Chin might be a little bit of an issue. His ground game, for as good as it is, it's not on Misha's level. It just isn't. Now, one thing I find really interesting about Johnny Walker is, he's a Brazilian fighter, and he comes out, he moves to England and spends some time training in England. And then when he comes out for his UFC debut against Khalil Roundtree, he's wearing the UK fight kit. I thought that was a little strange. The guy's Brazilian, yet he's wearing the UK fight kit. And he goes on to afterwards say, Brazil never did nothing for me. They never sponsored me. I'm representing England. Strange. His last fight against Justin Ledet, he left England and moved to Thailand. And he actually tried to get the UFC to give him a Thai fight kit, and they wouldn't. So it's weird that, like, he's 26. He's moved around to 3 different countries in the last 2 years for training. He's super exciting, but, like, he's not grounded yet. He hasn't hit near his potential. If you put this guy, like, I don't want to say you got to go to a big mega gym or nothing like that. Like, Phuket Top Team's a good gym. But, like, you put this 26-year-old Johnny Walker in ATT for 3 or 4 years, he might be Thiago Santos. But he's not in that kind of a camp. He's still very young. He's still very raw. And someone's going to expose him. The kind of guy that's going to expose him is somebody like a Misha CIRKUNOV. Now, for as much as I feel like Johnny Walker's got some growing to do, Misha's a guy that I've always, as he's Canadian, he's close by. The guy's a super good guy. We're obviously very, very familiar with Misha CIRKUNOV, and I've kind of been a little bit harsh on him. My biggest criticism being he's always been unwilling to leave the confines of his comfort zone, his home. He's the head coach at Extreme Couture in Toronto. He doesn't leave. He doesn't go do fight camps anywhere. He doesn't bring in training partners. I've seen him get ready for a UFC fight using a bantamweight was his chief sparring partner, or a lightweight as his chief sparring partner. His first couple fights in the UFC, and he's winning with submission because we all know how good his submissions are, but like he's being laughed at online about how robotic he looks and how like Brian Stan even, I think it's his UFC debut, maybe second fight, Brian Stan even concludes he thinks Misha CIRKUNOV has a back injury because of how little movement he has and how stiff and rigid he is. But that's how he is. But his last fight, he's on a 2-fight losing streak. He loses one more, it might be the end of his UFC career. He left Toronto. He went to Las Vegas. He did the camp at Extreme Couture Las Vegas, as well as all the strength and conditioning at the Performance Institute. And, like, he looked good, dude. He honestly did. His striking has obviously improved. It's Pat Cummins. I get it. But if his striking's improved long enough that he's not a liability standing, then eventually the fight will hit the ground. If he's on top, it's over. This guy's jiu-jitsu is phenomenal, especially for a 205-pound man, because they don't not move like this guy. So I feel like CIRKUNOV's shown us a little bit of glimpses in the past when he fought Nikita Krylov. Krylov's in many ways like Johnny Walker. He's young, he's brash, he's a killer, he's a finisher. He goes out there and tries to finish you. He nails him with a beautiful straight left, takes his ass down, submits him. The fight with Pat Cummins, yeah, Pat Cummins obviously a way different style and, you know, a little bit chinny. But all the same, it's like you see his improved striking. His striking gets the fight to the ground. Once the fight is on the ground, he chokes you out. He's also a judo black belt, and he wrestled for the Canadian youth wrestling team, which I know, especially if you're American, it ain't shit, but it's something. Guys, is adequate enough more than this Brazilian who went to England and is now in Thailand. What's his fucking wrestling like, Paul? What's his takedown defense like, Paul? I'm thinking it's not great. We haven't seen it, so no one's really talking about it. But if he comes out here and throws a spinning back fist, we've seen that happen. Remember when Misha fought Alex Nicholson? Remember Alex Nicholson? He was spinning back fist. Misha just saw it coming, dipped under, took his back, put him on the ground, ended up breaking his jaw. Again, this is a dog or pass situation. Misha's the dog. I think there's some upside to him. I think on DraftKings, he can score a lot of points. I think as far as the line goes, he's the underdog. He can come through. So I'd like 3 or 4 solid dogs in this card, and I'm going to go with Misha as one of them. This could be the 3rd straight time that Johnny Walker's made me look like an idiot. But the way he makes people look bad is like spinning back this shit. Like, it's like, son of a bitch.
I know. And it's one of those things. It's one of those things where it's like the results are like more than like the overall game. And it's just like, you see those flashy knockouts and they look awesome. They're great highlights and all of that. But, you know, we haven't really seen them tested. And yeah, against Ledet and Roundtree, the takedown and the grappling hasn't really been, you know, anything that those guys were going to really approach against him. So
a kickboxer and a boxer.
God help me when Johnny Walker crushes my soul one last time. Then I'll have to pick him every single time after that. He gets through this one, then I just pick against. I pick him until he loses. We got Cody Saftic taking on Alejandro Perez. Cody Saftic is 8,600 on DraftKings, minus 190 favorite. Perez 7,600 plus 165. I'll keep this relatively quick. I like Saftic. I know Alejandro Perez is on a 7-fight undefeated streak. There's the
we've made money and it's been
and the guy as the best fight picks, and his boy Shaq or boy Daniel Levy and his boy Shaq they like to call him the Brazilian or the not Brazilian. He's the Weasel. The guy's really good at like just scraping by in decisions. Obviously the undefeated streak is because he had a unanimous majority draw against Albert Morales, but this guy is just getting by the chin, by the whiskers of his chinny chin chin. That's the word that's the line I was trying to say here. I just think Saftic is going to be able to compete with him on the feet, at least compete with them. But I think he's gonna have a bit of a strength advantage. He's obviously got the wrestling advantage. Perez has been very good at avoiding takedowns. He hasn't taken on too many, tough-nosed, gritty, collegiate wrestlers. And Saftic, I just think, presents a lot of problems here. There's a reason why he's minus 190. The one thing I will say is that DraftKings-wise, 8,600, Saftic. Not that I don't like him. It's just Perez is the type of guy that doesn't allow you to score a lot of points. Like, he'll be on his back, he'll be on his bicycle, he'll be backing up, he'll be running around, he'll be avoiding conflict, trying to keep these rounds close, and all of those things together. Maybe we see a lot of cage work and stuff. Like, I don't really like Saftic as a DraftKings play at 8,600. Just like, I think almost his ceiling is around like 80, 85 points. But minus 190, I can get on board with that. Saftic by decision would be my official pick.
Yeah, this one makes me nervous because I got Cody Stammann. There's no way Cody's are going winless on this card, all right? And Cody Garbrandt's not going to get the win, so Stammann needs to step his game up, Paul. I think he gets the job. The one thing that's super nerve-wracking is that this is how Perez wins fights, man. Perez is in close-ass fights, and they give him the decision. And for even, like, when he's not going out there and outright winning a close – like, let's say the Matthew Lopez fight. It's like, damn, he's getting controlled pretty easy in that first round. He catches him. But his other fights, like Sukumtath and Yuri Alcantara and Eddie Wineland, it's like he just does enough to just pick away at you and win a decision. Pick away at you, win a decision. Pick away at you, win a decision. There's no doubt that he's getting better. It's that he's not making any, like, marginal improvements. I mean, I guess we could have talked about Marlon Vera. He's very much the same. Marlon Vera is young. He trains full-time at the best camps in the world. He's exciting. He seems to have it all. And then you watch him fight, and it's like, fuck, this guy's not getting any better. He beat guys, but, like, you're never impressed with him. It's the same thing, Alejandro Perez. He trains full-time at American Kickboxing Academy. Been there for a long time. He's only 29. He's on a 7-fight unbeaten streak in the UFC. But it's like you never walk away from one of his fights impressed. Like the one fight with Lopez, the one stoppage he's able to get, it's like he really needed that stoppage. Probably didn't look great. And then his other fights just super close affairs. I think Stammann is a better wrestler. Stammann's got more output standing. Stammann should be able to just pluck away at him and win a decision. What makes me worried there is that Stammann's only real legitimate loss is that one against Aljamain Sterling, because he lost to a guy, I think, Eric Vo back in the day. It's such a bullshit decision. It's not a good decision, but it's the type of fight where it's like the other guy's just kind of hanging around a little bit. And then when you hang around a little bit, it's going to go to the scorecards. And then it's how did they score it? Perez wins those kind of fights.
Yep.
Whereas Stammann beat Caraway, and a lot of people thought he lost. I thought he beat Caraway, but a lot of people thought he lost. So if he's going to be in a close fight with Perez, just know, I think you're going to win. I think you're going to beat this guy. But just know, you are taking on the Weasel. Like, he's literally made a UFC career in being in these close-ass rinky-dink fights, generally the underdog, and he showed some value. So I am going to go Stammann, and this is the majority of the reason I'm doing Stammann, is with Perez, super consistent, man. Like, against Albert Morales, 61 strikes landed. Against Sukumtath, 44. Against Alcantara, 35. Against Lopez, 44. Against Wineland, 53. That's in his last 6 fights, Paul. He has never eclipsed 61 significant strikes landed in a fight. However, Cody Stammann almost landed 100 against Caraway all by itself. He landed 3 takedowns against Aljamain Sterling, who's one of the best wrestlers and grapplers in the division. I think that he's not going to be able to take down Perez or just keep the fight standing and outpoint him would be crazy. Again, I'm just going by the fact that if you're not going to knock out the Weasel, you're going to be in a close fight with them, you know? And if you're going to be in a close fight with them, there's a reason why he hasn't lost in a while. But I do think Stammann will get the job done.
Mickey Gall takes on Diego Sanchez. Mickey Gall, 9,100, minus 265 favorite. Diego Sanchez is 7,100 and plus 225. How much has Mickey Gall improved? That is the real question that we have here, because Diego has a lifetime's more experience than him. Diego Sanchez, never been submitted. Diego Sanchez has a chin that is withering away. But, and Mickey Gall is going to have size advantage here. Like, Diego Sanchez has fought as low as 145 pounds. That didn't really work out all that well, but he's mostly 155. He's fought as high as 185. The guy's been all over the place over the course of his career, don't get me wrong. He's pretty small at 170 pounds, to be honest, in the modern world of the UFC. But like Mickey Gall, what does he try to do? A lot of times he's trying to get those takedowns, and if I don't know if he's going to be able to take down Diego. He's definitely not going to be able to submit Diego. He's going to have to try to knock out Diego on the feet. And maybe he does. Maybe Diego's chin is cracked enough that he's able to do it. We have seen him dropped a whole bunch of times in a lot of his fights. I don't know. I think Diego Sanchez, as scary as it is, I think he's a live dog against Mickey Gall. Like, I just don't think we saw Gall kind of exposed against Randy Brown in that one fight. Is like if he can't really secure like top position against anybody. He's still super green. The guy got into the UFC long before he should have because he was CM Punk's opponent, right? And he rolled through a couple of guys, but like, and you know, he had a nice impressive win against George Sullivan, but George Sullivan's some of the bottom tier of mixed martial art, or of the UFC level. I don't know, man. I will not be touching Mickey Gall. I will tell you that much. It's whether Diego Sanchez can is worth a little stab here, to be perfectly honest with me.
Yeah, no, I hear you. You know, it's strange with Diego Sanchez. It's almost like people are right about him before his fight start. And what I mean by that is when he fought Ricardo Lamas, it was like, oh, fuck, he's got no chance. And he didn't. And he lost. He fought Jim Miller. It was like, dude, I think he can beat him. I think this is a live dog play. Dude, he beat Jim Miller. He fought Joe Lozon. That was Lozon before he was all the way down. I was like, fuck, Joe Lozon. Joe Lozon killed him. Against Marcin Held, you and I especially. Yeah, I think he's got a shot here. I think he's got a good dog play. He wins. Ally Quinta and Matt Brown, no shot. Craig White, shot. Mickey Gall, shot. When Diego loses, we often forget it's like he's taking on absolute world beaters, the best guys. Matt Brown is maybe not a world champion or a world beater, but you don't want to fight this guy. He's got such a vicious, an explosive arsenal of weapons that he's going to make you look bad. Ally Quinta, we know how good this guy is. Ricardo Lamas, especially when you cut one leg off and make 145. Like, these guys are the best guys in the world. Whereas, yeah, you mentioned with Mickey Gall, he's got all of 6 pro fights, and 2 of those fights happen to be against CM Punk and Mike Jackson. So experience all day on Diego's side. Mickey Gall's going to have the size advantage for sure. But yeah, it's like you said, what's his path to victory here? He's obviously a submission fighter, but Mickey Gall, I believe, is a brown belt. And when you're taking on Mike Jackson and CM Punk, a brown belt's going to go a long way. His last fight against George Sullivan's black belt. George Sullivan's not a great black belt, and he's old, and he had missed 2 years off late in his career because of the USADA suspension. So it was just not a good version of Sullivan. But I'll tell you what, he looked really good against Sullivan. He's young. He's making improvements. Mickey Gall is a guy that probably could have made the UFC on his own merit 3 years from now, 2 years from now, get some wins together. Yeah, he's just been thrown into the wolves a little bit earlier. And his issue is because he's kind of made himself out to be a name. Like, I know people that look at this card, they recognize a lot of names, and Gall's one of them because of the whole thing with CM Punk. But Mickey Gall calls out CM Punk. He gets the fight. And then you see him just start calling out all the best fights for him, right? And even he calls out Dan Hardy, who has a heart problem and hasn't fought in the UFC in many, many years. Like, this guy's just trying to take the fights that the guy has a name, and he ain't the same fighter anymore. And he runs into Diego Sanchez. This is what he wanted. This is the type of fight he should be able to win. But again, you got to look at path of victory. Whereas some of these other guys were a little more, say, maybe they don't have a great ground game, or maybe they don't have this, maybe they don't have that. Like, Sanchez is a bad matchup for him, being that he's going to be hard to take down. He's going to be near impossible to submit. I'll tell you what, there's a 0% chance he gets submitted. There is a chance that he chokes him out unconscious if he catches him. But Diego's not going to fucking tap. This guy's a warrior. This guy's the definition of warrior. And Mickey Gall's going to have a problem there because Mickey Gall, from the one time he got pushed, which was his fight with Randy Brown, he looked like a puss. Now take that from a puss himself. I'm fighting in the UFC, but he did not want to engage Randy Brown. He got real tired. He had a big old adrenaline dump. He didn't like it. He did not want to be there. He showed he had no power whatsoever. So even though Diego doesn't take a punch the way he used to, I don't think he's going to catch him and knock him out. He's going to have to go out there and take him down. That's going to be tough. Once he does take him down, he's going to have to submit him. Again, it's going to be very tough. He's going to have to stay on the outside and just jab away. Is that even a real game plan that you're going to use? You're not exactly Floyd Mayweather here. He doesn't have a good jab. He doesn't use his reach particularly good. His right hand, he kind of floats it out there a little bit. This has got all the you know what? Mickey Gall is no better than Craig White. He really isn't. And Diego Sanchez showed in that fight at least, I'm not top 30 anymore. But you're not even UFC quality. And I can make guys like that look bad. Marcin Held never won a fight in the UFC. He can win that fight. Mickey Gall, maybe he's falling in the same position. Maybe he's really just not at that level. And you know what? We wouldn't even be having this conversation right now if Diego was a slight favorite, which he probably should be. But the fact that he's the underdog, it's very hard to look away. very hard to look away because this is a dog with a shot and he's got great value.
Big
so,
underdog. Like, it's been moving. I think it was like plus 285 like earlier in the week. It's plus 225. Diego Sanchez now, but yeah, that line movement makes a hell of a lot of sense. I would expect it to move even further as we get a little bit closer. We'll see what they look like next to each other on the scales, or at least at the weigh-ins, just in terms of how much bigger is Mickey Gall. He's going to be a lot taller, but you know, wrestling tends to favor the shorter guy, and the guy with more experience. Like, I really struggle to see how Mickey Gall minus 265, how he wins this fight. Like, is he gonna win? Like, if you're gonna bet him, I don't know what the price is off the top of my head here. I don't have a computer in front of me, but like, if you're gonna bet Mickey Gall, like, you bet him by knockout. Like, that's really the only path that I see. And he lands a heavy and finishes Diego Sanchez. That's got to be much, much better than the minus 265 that is currently out there. So
yeah. Well, I would say in Gall's case, he's got his 6 fights, first round finishes in all but 2. Sage, he looked tired in that second round, and Randy, he looked tired in that second round. You got to get him out of that first round. Diego Sanchez, I would argue, it would point me one fight where he's gotten tired. I don't mean he's slowing down because he's got a fucking hatchet wound in his head and he's bleeding all over the place. I mean, tell me one time he gassed out and didn't look good. Like, he will continue to push a pace, and that's the way to beat Mickey Gall. He's young, so you better break him. You got to get to him early. And Mickey Gall spent a lot of time in this training camp with Joe Schilling, which is interesting because it would kind of give you the impression he wants to keep the fight standing and knock out Diego Sanchez. And we're talking about that. That's probably your best path. But you think Joe Schilling is going to get you ready for what Diego Sanchez does? Like, no. Diego Sanchez is going to mark across that octagon, hopefully grab a hold of him, and hopefully make it a rough night for him. I can see Gall surviving. I can see Sanchez winning, albeit by decision. But yeah, let's roll with the dogger pass. And for that reason, the nightmare, baby.
We have Edmund Shabazian taking on Charles Byrd. Edmund Shabazian is 8,200 and minus 130 favorite. Charles Byrd is 8,000 and plus 110. Both guys' last fights against Darren Stewart. Shabazian won. Charles Byrd lost. Charles Byrd's only UFC win against John Phillips, the guy with the worst ground game that's probably ever been inside the octagon. Something feels super trappy about all of this, though. Like, doesn't it? You know, one guy's got a win over him. Both guys have fought the same guy last, and one guy's got the win, the other guy's got a loss, and it's like close to a pick'em. Like, am I missing something here? Because Shabazian seems like the very, very almost too easy pick to make in this spot.
Yeah, well, no, I think that's where the trap might be coming from. Is that you look at all types of things. You look at first and foremost the fact that, hey, Shabazian just beat Darren Stewart. And Charles Byrd just lost to Darren Stewart. That's an obvious one. Then you look at, geez, Shabazian's undefeated. He's 8-0. Charles Byrd's 10-5. Talk about a journeyman record. Yeah, like, why wouldn't you want Shabazian? But you got to look at the performance itself. Shabazian's young. He's another one of these guys that's super young. He's super green. I'd like him a lot better if he had a couple losses, because then it's like he's had to go back to the drawing board. Let's not forget, he's an Edmund Taverdian trained fighter. So there's going to be flaws in his game, but hey, remember that other undefeated Edmund Taverdian fighter that everybody thought was the greatest thing of all time until they got exposed that once? That's why you kind of like to see that. And that's what Shabazian doesn't have. He's super young, and you can go and find footage of this kid from like 7 or 8 years ago. He would have been like 12, maybe younger. And he's a future prodigy, you know? He's like one of these kids that got into MMA as a kid, not karate or kickboxing or Muay Thai or wrestling. Like, this is a kid that did it all from a young age and seemingly can do it all pretty good. He's competed at a lot of grappler quest events in California, not the highest level, but he's done good. He's also allegedly won a state boxing championship. It's called like a Rumble in the Desert or a Desert Storm type tournament. It's an amateur boxing tournament. That's where he got his nickname, was after, I guess, winning this tournament. His hands are supposed to be good. And you see his record, Paul, 7-0, and he finishes all his opponents extremely quickly. So he makes it onto the Contender Series at 6-0, and it's like this is the first opponent that he's had that is in like a complete rollover pots, and he finishes him in the first round. So like, damn, maybe this kid's actually not bad. I remember we broke down his fight with Darren Stewart. I picked him to the tune of he'll finish Darren Stewart because, quite frankly, like Stewart is a journeyman type fighter. He was pretty much just a one-dimensional kickboxer, and here Shabazian's a better boxer, better on the ground, better wrestler. He'll look good and, you know, put on a statement. He looked terrible, terrible. He didn't want to strike with Darren Stewart, which is very strange to me because for a kid that's been boxing for so long, like either he thought, why bother, you know, playing the whole punchy kicky game, and I'm just going to take the path of least resistance, and that's try to grapple with him. But like he struggled to grapple with Darren Stewart. You know, the takedowns didn't come super easy. And then in the third round, this kid who is, I just want to confirm, I think he's 22 years old, is 21 years old, sorry, flat fucking gassed out against Darren Stewart in round 3. Now, part of that is UFC debut, octagon jitters, you know, that big adrenaline dump. I get all that. But also, these young kids usually have a better gas tank, and he got big-time gas against Darren Stewart. The thing with Charles Byrd is the same thing. He passed against Darren Stewart, only he got finished. He came out and he looked phenomenal in round 1, and Stewart took it all. And then in round 2, you've never seen someone just hit a block like Charles Byrd did. If Charles Byrd's going to come out here and, you know, get tired again, Shabazian will just do the same thing. He'll hump his leg, he'll grind him, and he'll take a decision. But if you're just looking this for skill, Charles Byrd appears to be a better striker. And he's better on the ground. And his wrestling, really not all that bad. He's arguably better than Shabazian everywhere. But Shabazian's going to come out there probably with another grappling-heavy tactic, try to stall this guy down. And it's good for Shabazian because he had 7 first-round finishes. So at least in his last fight, going to decision, even though it's not a loss, you don't grow from that, just going to decision, getting into the first round even, it should help him out. So hopefully his cardio is a little bit better, and hopefully he's going to try to just hold him down and neutralize him. But I would avoid this fight big time on DraftKings. I would think if you want to play one of the two guys, I personally would go Shabazian, but not as a favorite. And it is near a pick'em, but he's minus 125 right now, and I got no faith in him whatsoever. Yeah. Gun to my head, straight pick. I got to give you a pick on every fight. I would say Shabazian squeaks out a terrible-looking split decision potential.
That doesn't score.
Charles Byrd scares me because he's got a bad record, but he's a talented guy. And if he fixed his own cardio problems, he's going to batter this kid pillar to post, not get tired, and win a decision himself. So very dangerous fight. If you need a dog, you're desperate for a dog, you want a dog, Bird's not that bad. But I would say avoid it because Shabazian probably just has another stinker performance and holds him up against the cage, tires him out a little bit.
Macy CHAISSON is 9,400 and a minus 470 favorite. Gina Mazzani is 6,800 and plus 375. Friends don't let friends bet on Gina Mazzani. I'll tell you that much, Cody. We've been saying that for years. Macy CHAISSON coming off of the win on the tough finale, I guess it was, over Kenny Kianzad. Absolutely mauled her, dominated her. There's a reason why they're lining her up against Gina Mazzani. Mazzani's the type of fighter that you get over, that you put up against maybe a prospect who doesn't have very much experience to kind of give him a little bit more of a shot in the arm. Mazzani coming off of a loss to Lena Landsberg, like that isn't good. CHAISSON coming down from 145 to 135. Maybe there's a few things to monitor there. We'll see how she looks at 135. She looked pretty big in her fight against Kianzad, but Kianzad also they're both kind of like 135 pounders fighting at 145 because they were on the show type of thing. So I first off, we were talking about it right off the top. It's like Jon Jones is 9,600, Macy CHAISSON is 9,400. It's just like, if you're spending all the way up, it's just like, how do you, I guess it's a GPP strategy. Like CHAISSON's going to be super low owned compared to Jones, right? So I guess if she manages to outscore Jon Jones, well, there you go. You kind of have like your massive leverage spot. But it is hard for me in good conscience to sit here and say, like, don't find that extra $200 and get Jon Jones into your roster. Like, it is what it is. I'm not in the business, frankly, of laying almost minus 500 against just about anybody in the women's bantamweight division when they have a 3-0 record. So this is a pure pass for me. What about you?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you there. Macy CHAISSON, I believe was the underdog against Pannie Kianzad. Just to go show you, nobody had any faith in her. You and I picked her. Nobody had any faith in this girl, and now she's a nearly 5-1 favorite in her next fight. Like that's the game, dude. You have one good performance, and she had a good performance. You have one good performance, and then you take on a fighter who had a bad performance. It's like you're only as good as your last fight, and that's what you're getting here. Macy CHAISSON should win, but she's big value. One thing I would worry is, like you said, the weight cut, because Gina Mazzani is not all that talented. The one thing Gina Mazzani is willing to do is hold you up against the cage for as long as humanly possible. That's how she picked up her lone UFC victory over Ainan Wu in China. And that's what she'll try to do, because she's a ground specialist, but she doesn't have the wrestling to get to the ground. She's not a striker, but, you know, being growing up the little sister of Dave Mazzani, she's scrappy. She's tough. She'll get in there and she'll let her hands go, but she'll only punch long enough to try to get into a clinch and hold you up against the cage. The real notable thing is, do you remember when she made her UFC debut, short notice, against Sarah McMahon? Sarah McMahon, a big, strong 35er, grabs her, whips her to the ground, gets on top of her, puts her into an arm triangle. She taps right away, like a little over a minute into the first round. And I remember, I'll never forget it. She gets up and she walks over to Sarah McMahon and she says, "Holy fuck, you're strong." It's like, yeah, this is what the UFC looks like. This is what big, strong athletes are going to present. And she struggled with the size and strength of Sarah McMahon. And in her last fight against Lena Landsberg, you know, you could very much make the argument that she did not deal well, particularly with the size and strength of Lena Landsberg. Landsberg's a Muay Thai specialist, and Gina Mazzani is a ground specialist. Take this girl down, but she's unable to take the fight to the ground. Now against Macy CHAISSON, if you're worried about big, strong women, like, fuck, man, this girl's 5'9", 145 pounds, cutting down to 135, but like, she's big for the division. She's strong for the division. 3 fights in her career, but like, she's ragdolling people. And I know when people say, geez, you know, it's only 3 fights, I'm a little bit worried. You look at her run on The Ultimate Fighter. She beats Larissa Pacheco in the first round. She knocked her out. Larissa Pacheco is a UFC veteran already, made it to The Ultimate Fighter afterwards, still young, Brazilian, experienced, and she blasts her. Then her next fight is Leah Letson, who was actually like the pre-tournament favorite, and she knocked her out as well. Then she gets Pannie Kianzad, who is a former Invicta title challenger and has a wealth of experience, and she smashes her too. She's not fighting nobody. She's fighting the best possible opponents that they had readily available, and she's smashing them. And now she's getting Gina Mazzani, not the best opponent readily available. You should think it's a little bit more of the same thing. Now, I can't get through this without making one quasi-disrespectful comment, but have you seen the schnoz on Gina Mazzani? Like, that thing is a target, Paul Shaughnessy, and Macy CHAISSON's going to be coming to bust that thing. So I say she hurts her up. Technically, Mazzani's never been TKO'd, and where she has been submitted, I'm not really feeling the CHAISSON submission. I think she just batters her, which will cause Mazzani to, in desperation, grab a hold of her against the cage, slow down the pace. For that reason, CHAISSON's just too high of a price tag at 9,400, because you really need that first or second round knockout. You don't need a desperation Mazzani clinging onto a leg, trying to just slow down the pace, and you don't quite get that much. And then the 4 to 5 to 1 favorite, like, do I think she wins? Absolutely. But I parlay her up, maybe just like the slightest bit, but you're running into some serious danger here. It's women 35ers, you know, a former tough champ. Like, we've seen tough champs lose. Andrew Sanchez did it, most notably. I believe Colton Smith did it. You can lose your fight after winning the Ultimate Fighter. It happens. And we're just not sold quite yet on a 3-0 Macy CHAISSON. This girl looks like she could be very fun, very entertaining, and match up good with a lot of opponents in this division. But she's got to show us a little bit more first before she starts earning these bigger price tags. But she's definitely the pick.
And finally, we got Polyana Viana taking on Hannah CIFERS. 9,200 for Viana, minus 270. CIFERS is 7,000 and plus 230. A penny for your thoughts.
Yeah, see, I'm honestly weary of this fight. I feel like Hannah CIFERS looks really bad on paper, and she actually cracks for the division. She's scrappy. She's still only 26 herself. She could pose some problems, but I think we all know what the UFC is doing here. The UFC probably didn't give 2 shits about Polyana Viana. You know, who is this girl? But then a little old, let's say, I don't know, story breaks. Polyana Viana got attacked by some dude in the
And she
streets
beat
of
the
Brazil.
shit out of him. TMZ picks it up. So it's like, we have someone that we can sell here.
Oh, buddy, now we don't have a middling Brazilian fighter. We got something that we can sell here. She's pretty. Someone said that she's dating Thiago Santos. I don't have much confirmation on that, but hey, this girl is a pretty girl. She's young. She's got some skill, but we really need to get her back on track. Hey, remember that other pretty girl who was young and had a lot of skills who we really wanted to push? Maycee Barber? Who's that girl we gave her again? Oh, yeah, Hannah CIFERS. And what's she up to again? Oh, yeah. Bring her in. And that's kind of what you're getting here. VIANA she's only a purple belt, but she's won a world title. She's won a lot of like state championships in Brazil, but most notably, she's a one-time Sao Paulo champ, which is a little more advanced in some of the other areas. And then apparently, according to her anyways, one-time world champion at purple belt. So only a purple belt, but a really good purple belt. Whereas her opponent, Hannah CIFERS is also a purple belt and just not very good, not at the same level. Now she wants to go out there, she wants to throw bombs. And with Maycee Barber really played into her hand, which is Maycee Barber came in and brawled with her. And she landed a couple shots, but Maycee played her game and still beat her at that. And then eventually took her to the ground and just absolutely thrashed her with elbows until the ref said, I've seen enough. VIANA is not as fast, and she doesn't have the wrestling as Maycee Barber, don't get me wrong. But what you saw with her was JJ Aldrich is like, this she only really throws 1 or 2 punches at a time. I don't like that, but she's strong. She gets Aldrich down a couple times. She shows that she's good on the ground. Unfortunately, it's a tough spot, and it was a learning experience. That's what I'm going to chalk it up to. Against CIFERS, she's got to make sure that she doesn't fall into a brawling match with Hannah CIFERS, who's going to be tough and who's going to be rugged and who's going to come forward. But she'll use that long, snappy jab long enough to have CIFERS just close the distance, and that's where she'll be able to grab her up. Because the two things I'm really noticing here is that Hannah CIFERS comes in at like 5'1", 5'2". That's obviously very short. Whereas VIANA comes in at 5'7". She should have at least 4 or 5 inches in the height department. I believe she has 4 inches in the reach department. Now, Maycee Barber had a height advantage as well over Hannah CIFERS. Now, when Hannah would go close the distance, Maycee Barber would clinch up with her immediately. That's going to be a big problem here because VIANA's not a striker, but she's got a long jab. And CIFERS is going to have to overcome the size and reach advantage by marching through the pocket. When she does, she'll get clinched up. When she gets clinched up, she's just got to get taken down one time, and VIANA should be on her. VIANA's gas tank, it left a lot to the imagination in the last fight. It really did. But again, you got to go through these early trials and tribulations and get better. And one thing that I noticed out of both of these women, per se, is that you've got Hannah CIFERS, who loses her first fight. She's out of a really small gym in, I believe, South Carolina. Doesn't have a whole lot of training partners. Doesn't really compete at the highest level. Loses that first fight to Maycee Barber, and it's just back to the gym doing the exact same things I was doing before the Maycee Barber fight. Whereas you got Polyana Viana, she was training at Tata Fight Team in Brazil. Tata Fight Team most notably produced Thiago Santos and Alex Cowboy Oliveira. Both guys plateaued with Tata, moved full-time to American Top Team. Viana just did the same thing. After the fight, she left Tata Fight Team. She's down at ATT full-time now. And I got to assume, when you look at that, Keisha Torres, one of her training partners, is on this card. Jillian Robertson just fought, is one of the ATT women, part of that little crew there. Obviously, the champ Amanda Nunez, her wife. It's a good little crew of fighters to be with, and that's where VIANA's at, and you got CIFERS that doesn't have that. So to wrap it up, I think Polyana Viana, even just winning that Jungle Fight tournament, or the title, is more credible than anything CIFERS has done. And, the last thing, I feel bad saying this was CIFERS, but anybody at home can easily check this. The opponents she's beaten prior to coming to the UFC, Paul, it doesn't look that bad because they're all like 0-0, 1-0. But I'm just going to go over this. So, like that Rachel Sozoff, 2-9. Nikki Rogers, 1-4. Ronnie Nanny, 0-4. Tai Souza, 0-3. Celine Haga, 10-16. She's defeated one single fighter with a winning record. And that was her fight to get into the UFC over Kali Robbins, who's not any good. And then she lost to Maycee Barber. She's literally fought the epitome of lowest level of the sport, and she's picked up some knockouts. And now she's in the UFC to be cannon fodder to fighters they're trying to grow, like Maycee Barber and, in this case, VIANA. She was short notice against Barber, so it was a favor fight. Hey, you take one for us, we'll give you another one. She did. Now she gets another one, but there's no upside to her. So what you do is you try to build somebody off of her, and that's what they're doing. So I think VIANA wins. I don't think the price is all that bad. But I don't trust VIANA, mostly because that Aldrich fight really showed how one-dimensional she is. I fully expect her to be better than that. And I fully expect JJ Aldrich, you know me, I like her. She's very underestimated. So that was her against a better opponent. Now you're going to get a better version of her against a lesser opponent. Writing's on the wall. This girl should get the victory. Hopefully she doesn't beat her as bad as she beat up that poor schmuck on the streets of Sao Paulo. But she should put it on her pretty good here.
So I don't actually have our lineup from last week's Ironman challenge in front of me. Let it be known, it was a fucking disaster.
I didn't actually look at you. We've had me saying you locked it in.
I think we had PEREZ in it. That didn't go well. Who else? We had Jan on it. That didn't go well. It's been a bad start for us, Cody. We got to get back on track here. It's starting this week, so I'm gonna give the reins to you because I've been making them, and then you don't seem to really ever we gotta have some discussion about these things. So I kind of just said it, and I was just like, let me know what we want to change. I'm cold as ice right now, so it's been a few bad cards in a row for me. Hopefully get back on track here, of course, with a card with Johnny Walker is when I'm trying to get back on track here. So let's see. Well, we definitely have to start making some moves here. It's obviously a long year. We got months upon months and probably another 35 cards that are coming our way. But let it be known that I haven't looked at the standings, but we're probably near the bottom. We gotta be.
Well, you also got to realize that there's a lot of guys tied with 0 points because you only get a percentage of the points based on, you got to hit, I think the top 5, top 10, top 20% of the board to get points. So there's a lot of guys tied with 0. We're in a different situation. There's 2 of us. So it's like, you might like a guy. I might not like the guy. I might like a guy. We got lucky. Nah, we didn't get lucky, but you like Francis, I like Kane. We discussed it. Kane talking about retirement. It was a really bad look. He looked bad at his open workouts. We pivot to Francis, great. But we're going to run into situations like that where we're going to disagree on a certain guy and we might pivot the wrong way or whatever the case. I'll tell you what. I'll do the lineup this week. I'll take over the reins. I'll take full responsibility. I'll get us back on track. If I blow it, you got it next week. And you have full reins to make fun of me on next week's show. But I got a good feeling. This could really be a bad weekend for me.
You have a good feeling. I do not have a good feeling because I've been trash. Sorry, I said that you have a good feeling. I want you in charge because I've been bad the last couple weeks. So you gotta put me on your shoulders, Cody. You gotta put me on your shoulders, and you gotta carry us to victory here. We gotta get back on track. We talked a lot of shit. We talked a lot of shit, and we haven't delivered yet. So obviously a lot of
Paul,
cards
I don't know how your straight bets are doing, but I feel like I'm doing really well. The DraftKings is a little bit different because you take Little Dong. You don't like Lil Dong. You wouldn't play Scott Holtzman for those odds against Nick Lentz, but like on DraftKings, it's like I'm gonna just fill this guy in. You don't love these guys, but you need them because you're construing a roster. It's a little bit different. Jan last weekend was the one fight. I think I got 3 wrong out of the 12 or 13 fights around the card. Jan was the one that kind of hurt just because it was the main event. It ended up being a nice, profitable event, but that would have made it a very nice event. And like I thought he was first round, he did exactly what he had to do. And he lost the round, but he did exactly what he had to do. Second round, he did exactly what he had to do. And he won the round. In the third round, he just runs in face first looking to brawl. Like, fuck me, man. What are you doing? And you know what? Never been knocked out. You want to get knocked out for the first time? Those are the things you got to do. So it is what it is. It's tough to fight 15, 20, 25 minutes of a perfect game plan. He was able to do it for 11 minutes. And then he ran face first into an atomic bomb of a right hand. So it is what it is. I'm not too concerned about it. And let's do it this week and let's get it. So hopefully John Jones is not the one shitting in the apple pie. I would say crazier things have happened, but really they haven't. So we'll see what happens.
In one guy. I think that's the guy. That is the guy to trust. It's not like you're trusting in Jan or a lot of other middling type of people. Like if you're paying up 9,600, you're paying for one of the best of all time this week. So at least there's some comfort in that. Anyway, that more or less wraps it up for us. Thank you to Cody Saftic, as always, for breaking down the fights with me. Thank you to our producer, Chad, for doing all the speed cuts and setting up all the things and adding all the graphics and yada, yada, yada. Thanks to both of those guys for everything that they do to bring this show to life for you. For Cody and Chad, I'm Paul, saying goodbye and good luck.
Mayo experience! Experience!